Hello. And welcome to everyone watching this video. I am going to share with you a near-death experience that was recently sent to me by a dear sister from Europe. She detailed how she participated in a marathon contest during a season in the Tour de France Femme. During the race, she encountered an unusual sensation and pain in her chest, and that led to her death. If you are blessed to find this video today, kindly subscribe and share it with your friends and family so everyone can receive eternal salvation from God. I am going to read it the same way it was sent to us. No part has been taken off and nothing has been added to the story. Pay close attention as I proceed with the reading. My name is Elisa. I am a professional marathon contestant. I was competing in the Tour de France Femme, after I finally managed to secure myself a place on the UCI Continental team. It was a very difficult journey, as I was always competing with the other members of my team, to who got a place in the big race. The actual race was going surprisingly smoothly, up until I reached the most brutal climb I ever saw, also known as the Tour Mallet. It is a very long mountainside track that challenges your stamina until your legs cannot hold your weight anymore. The issue is not that the track itself has many obstacles to traverse, but rather that you have to constantly maintain a certain speed to keep up with the others. I managed to do that quite nicely for a while, but then I started feeling a stinging pain in my chest. I started breathing heavily, and each of my movements felt like getting stabbed by a sharpened knife. I tried pulling myself together but to no avail. As I suddenly lost control of my bike, and fell out on my face on a bunch of cold rocks. I was absolutely unconscious at this point. When I opened my eyes again, I saw myself floating above an unknown city, or rather, what was left of it. I was surrounded by buildings reduced to piles of concrete and steel, with seemingly fresh stains of blood. The air was filled with the stench of smoke and oil. The cars below me were crushed to pieces, and not too far ahead, I could see a hole in the earth so wide that I could barely discern the edges. It was as if the meteor that killed the dinosaurs came back to finish the job completely. The world I knew became a complete wasteland, and that terrified me to the very core. The people who lived here could have been anyone dear to me, my parents, friends, or my husband. No one would be able to escape such a catastrophe. Or so, I thought until I saw a glimmering light amidst the floating ash. Because of how intensely the light shone, I was unable to look directly at it. I was enveloped by the light. In spite of everything, I heard a voice from the light speaking to me. It was the voice of the Lord. He said, "Elisa, do not be afraid of the terror surrounding you, for it has not happened yet. Let me show you more of what's about to come." In the blink of an eye, I woke up in another strange place. This time, it was very tightly cramped and full of actually intact objects. It was a bunker. The people there lived in conditions that were the opposite of anything deemed comfortable. Numerous clothes of several sizes and materials were hung on the nearby walls. The food supplies were boxed and packed beside them to make use of the already limited space. Gas masks and rubber costumes were deposited in a nearby chamber, with some of them being thrown in the corner probably due to contamination. After that, I spotted 3 particularly large trees. In 2 of them, there were dead leaves that had dropped to the floor and spread out across the space, while the other had new leaves that were attached to huge branches, and it was the one that provided shade for the other 2 trees. Once more, the voice spoke up and said, "These trees, which you can see, stand for 3 great countries. The 2 trees that have withered leaves represent the 2 countries that would be the trigger for a global war. They are going to fight each other, and in the process, they will kill the vast majority of the population of both countries. All other countries will disregard the activity of these two nations, but their conflict is going to have repercussions for every other nation on the planet. In addition, there would be a significant number of people's lives lost across the globe. The deaths of their own people, brought on by they fighting among them, are represented by the leaves that are scattered out across the ground that you can see. In point of fact, there were so many leaves that they spread throughout a very broad area, which was around 1,000 acres in size. There was no way to count them either. I was unable to keep count of myself. I cried and yelled, and I couldn't help but wonder whether or not this conflict was going to claim the lives of everyone involved. He continued and said, "The third tree with fresh leaves would be the only nation that can bring peace and settlement. However, the nation would not be respected, and their recommendations would not be followed." I questioned the Lord, wanting to know what the potential reasons were for the outbreak of such a terrible war. In response to my question, he said, "This conflict will be brought on by political systems, racial tensions, geographical boundaries, economic disparities, and an insatiable desire for conquest. The human race will be severely fragmented as a result of this." I was taken to a different place, and when I got there, I observed a lot of birds. Unfortunately, many of them were sickly and had lost a lot of weight. They appeared to have gone several days without eating, judging by their appearance. They couldn't even move, let alone fly. None of them had any sort of mobility. After a while, I noticed that grains were beginning to emerge from the ground. However, despite the fact that the birds were starving, they were unable to consume these grains. As a direct consequence of this, some of them passed away. The young birds, in particular, perished in great numbers due to the fact that they were unable to withstand the hunger any longer. After that, I looked to my left, and there were 6 enormous monsters in front of me. They had withdrawn all of the foods that were intended for the birds. The voice came again and asked, "Elisa, what insights can you draw from what you have just witnessed?" I looked confused and said to the Lord, "Please enlighten me as to what this means." He said, "These birds, which you can see, are supposed to represent people living on Earth. As a direct consequence of the war, there is going to be a significant food shortage. It is likely that a great number of people, including women, children, and men, will perish from starvation. The younger ones would not be able to endure it for much longer and would eventually pass away. The 6 monstrous figures that appear on your left are representatives of the avaricious and corrupt leaders of the planet. They will possess and control all of the resources that are necessary for the health and happiness of the people living on Earth. Now, in spite of the fact that these people are innocent and have done nothing to deserve their destiny, it has been brought upon them by sinners in positions of authority who gave no attention to the consequences of their actions when it came to inflicting pain on their fellow man. Greed and avarice are tools of destruction that need to be forsaken before it is too late. This future has not quite come to pass, and it will not, if you continue to spread the word about the impending doom." I woke up to find myself in the back of a waiting ambulance. Due to the severity of my bleeding, the emergency medical technicians continued to administer treatment to me. I want to thank God for rescuing me from that horrific disaster and bringing me back to life. I am also grateful to Him for entrusting me with the delivery of such a vital message to the people of the world. Whoever has ears, let them listen. God bless everyone. Thank you for watching to the end. Please help us get this message out to the rest of the world by forwarding it to all of your friends and family members. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so right away so that you can receive other videos on the Bible in the days and weeks ahead. I am grateful to you, and may God continue to bless you till our next meeting.